Everybody, this is Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist, coming to you here from my art studio. This is hammer time, baby. Hammer time. Hammer time. Hammer time, baby. That's what it is today. We got hammer time going on. Hammer time is the time when I talk to you guys about your career, your artistic career, that is. Check it out, guys. I'm an artist. I've been working on this thing for quite some time. And like many other artists out there, I too have doubted myself, I must confess. I have doubted myself. I have doubted my work. I have doubted my ability, my talents, but most importantly, I have doubted my work ethic. I've doubted my work ethic. And when you doubt yourself, all that you're really doing is you're setting yourself back. You're setting yourself at a lower place. You're telling yourself that you're not capable. That's really all you do when you doubt yourself. You're telling yourself, you know what, I'm not really capable of this. I don't really think that I mean, I'll do it, but I'll half-ass do it. And when you do that, you're telling yourself that there is no way in hell that you're going to be able to pull this off. Okay? These are all signals. Just want to let you guys know. These are all signals that you're telling yourself. Subliminal signals, let's call it that. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you tell yourself, man, I don't think, I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't think I can do this or whatever. You're really sending yourself a bunch of signals. Okay? You're sending yourself a bunch of signals. Now, I'm going to share something with you here right now that it's very much counterintuitive for people out there. Okay? There's an idea. I want you to consider this idea. Okay? There's an idea out there that people, no matter what they do, no matter how hard they work, things just don't happen for them. That things are not working out for them. Okay? That they need to know something. That they need to know something. They're not in the know. It's partially true, but not really. And I'll explain to you why. Okay? I want you to consider this. If things are not where you want them to be, if things aren't working in the form that you want them to be, I want you to consider this. Just for a little second, consider this. The amount of effort that you're putting in them is very low. Okay? The amount of push, the speed, the effort, the pain with something is very low. It's the only reason. I wish there was something else, right? I wish there was something like, oh man, it's because I don't understand how to market, or I don't know how to talk to people, or I don't know how to whatever. I don't know how to sell my work. I wish it was that, because that's easily fixable, right? You can fix that very easy. You're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go learn this, and then all said and done, right? But it's not that. It's not that. It's not the knowledge you got. It's not the lack of knowledge you got. It's none of those things. It will always be your personal hustle, your personal work ethic. Nothing. How's it going, Carol? Nothing really is the determining factor for you to do something or not do something other than yourself. And so we grew up thinking all these things, right? All these things like, oh man, like when we're kids, parents are like, you got to do it right. You got to do it right the first time. You got to, you didn't focus on it. You have to A, B, and C. But the reality is that you didn't do it enough. And if I could just share this concept with people that are getting out there in their art studio, or maybe they're just learning how to paint or whatever you're doing. If you could just grasp this concept of, you know what, maybe I'm just not doing it enough. I'm just not doing it enough, you know. There's all sorts of theories as to why things don't work. There's also all sorts of theories. People have come up with so many theories why things work, why things don't work, why some it works for some people but it doesn't work for others. This includes, I don't know, personal journeys, careers, diets, whatever, right? Income, whatever you want. It's all in there. It's all the same thing. We go through life thinking that our case is unique. Okay? Now, I know, again, this is not one of those popular subjects, right? But I want to touch on it. We go through life thinking that our case is very unique, that really you don't understand my case. My case is very unique. This is why my business can't scale. This is why I can't really paint. I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm a single parent, or this is the reality of why I can't do it. And I hate to break it to people, but that's not the reality. The reality is that it's not done enough. That's all. And people go, well, it's not done enough because of this. No, it's not done enough because it's not done enough. That's all there is to it. There's nothing to it other than that. If our life depended on it, if our life depended on it, we would do it. Maybe not, I don't know. For many people, we would do it if our life depended on it. But because we can get away with it, you can tell yourself, well, I'm going to be an artist, but if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't. There's probably a very big chance you're not gonna be an artist because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's like going to a movie theater and saying, well, let's see if there's a movie I like. If there's not a movie I like, I'll go back home. If you're going after something and you're not acting like your life depends on it, like your survival depends on it, you're probably not going to do it. Or it will start leaving you. That will start leaving you, whatever that is, people that have certain, things, they take medication or certain illnesses, or people that, I remember my mother had diabetes. She'd take insulin all the time, right? You don't forget that stuff, right? You don't forget those things. They're not like, oh my God, I forgot to do that. No, your life depends on it. You don't forget those things. In the same way, if your career, if you make it a commitment where you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to go after this like my life depends on it, you will make it happen. I truly believe that is the only reason why things either happen or they don't. It's not about happiness or I don't know, whatever things we put around it. It's really, are you committed to it or are you not? And if you're not, it will show that it's not. There is no commitment. If you are, it will show that there is a commitment. That's all. Those are the only two reasons, right? Is you commit? Are you committed or are you not? One of the reasons I'm saying this is because every day I get emails or DMs or phone calls to my studio of artists asking, how can I show up? How can I get myself to show up? How can I? And I totally empathize with that. I totally empathize with it because I know what that is. I know exactly that feeling where you are really just getting in your way. You're getting in your own way. I know exactly what it is. And it really has to do with fear. That's the only thing. There's fear. The bigger the fear, the less you're going to do things. The bigger scarier the thing. You tell yourself, oh my god, I don't know, I don't have time. Time is one of those big things that people just don't want to do things because there's not enough time. It's probably one of the biggest ones. Or I'm not ready, I don't look, my work doesn't look great, or whatever, right? I'm not organized enough. Whatever thing you put there, there's some sort of fear behind it, right? Backing it up. Well, I want to tell you this, guys. Look, if we don't behave in a way where we believe our life literally depends on it, I don't really see how that could happen. I don't really see how that could work. And it doesn't matter what it is. I'm not talking about like just your career, It doesn't matter what it is. Again, it could be a diet, it could be an exercise routine, it could be whatever it is. If you literally don't look at it and say, you know what, my survival depends on me showing up to the art studio. My survival depends on me selling artwork. My survival depends on me accomplishing my goals. If your survival doesn't depend on it, if you don't somehow brainwash yourself, tell yourself, you know what, if I don't do this, I'm a goner, and I don't mean this literally or anything, but you have to really soak in. You have to really soak in the commitment, and the commitment level has to be so high. It has to be so high that when you feel tired, you feel scared, you feel whatever, it overpowers it. The commitment overpowers it. In other words, you don't behave like an employee, right? You don't behave like an employee, you behave like the boss. You behave like the boss. Everything is tied to you, right? Everything is tied to you. Whatever you're not committed to will go away. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. And again, I get asked this question every day, like, how do you show up? How do you show up every day? How do you do it? How do you do it? I got no other choice. The days that I don't show up, the days that I'm like half-assing it, they're the most painful days. They're the most painful days because they have no payoff. See, every time you show up somewhat, how can I say this? This is what I've learned in my studio, guys. Every time you show up 90% of the time, there is no payoff. Shit, maybe every time you show up 100% of the time, there is no payoff. You will only get tired. You will only get overwhelmed. And you're going to be scared all the time. Like, I don't know how to market. I don't know. How can I sell this? Oh my God, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. There's all these I don't knows. The reason why there's I don't knows is because you're not moving stuff. Something that I learned from a mentor. He's like, I'm on do mode. I just move stuff. I just do. If you move, then you know where to place it next. If you don't move, you'll stay there looking at it. Testing it, measuring it. If you move something, then you know where to move it. You got to just move, right? You just got to move it. You got to start pressing buttons. So, showing up 90% of the time, 100% of the time, it doesn't cut it. I guarantee you. And there's a place in your life where you're already showing up and it feels like you're there all the time and it still doesn't cut it. That's because unless you start doing extraordinary, it's when you start getting paid. It's such a funny thing. It's almost like the universe wants to weed out the uncommitted, if that's a word. It's almost like the universe wants to weed out. You're not gonna have solid rock abs because you go to the gym every day or four times a week. No, the people that have this incredible bodies, they show up. They show up a lot. I mean, the ones I've seen, They show up a lot. Like, they make that shit their priority. You know, they watch what they eat, and they show up so much that it's inevitable, right? They show up that it looks like they're obsessed with it. They're like, oh my God, like this person, that's all they talk about. That's all they, like, they have snacks about that, you know, like their magazines are about that. Or now their feed is about that. That's all they're thinking about, right? They become obsessed with it. The reason why you need to become obsessed with something is because you need to show up 110% of the time. If you don't show up 100%, 110% of the time, you will not get paid. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. You know that. I'm just reminding you. If you show up 100% of the time as a parent, you're like, what? I take care of you. I listen to you. You know, what's wrong? If you're a parent or you have a partner and you're like, well, I'm always there. I'm always, you know, I'm there. I show up. I'm always there. It doesn't work. Anyone who has a partner knows that. It doesn't work if you just show up. You have to, when you start getting paid in any endeavor, you have to go beyond the requirement. You have to go beyond the requirement. The requirement is 100%. You have to go beyond the requirement. That's when you start getting paid. No one gets paid for doing what they're supposed to do. It just doesn't happen that way. But we live in the world thinking that. We live in the world thinking that we're like, oh yeah, I'm an artist. All I have to do really is just, you know, paint and I'll market a little bit here and then I'll do a little bit of that. And we don't even say a little bit. We're like, oh my God, I'm doing so much. Is it working? No, then you're not doing so much. I'm sorry, you're not doing so much. No, but I'm doing so much. Is it working? No, then you're not doing so much. It will show. If you're doing so much, it will show. See, but in our minds, we think that we're doing so much. Our minds have this thing that we constantly, it's really kind of fucked up, but it is. I think it's just the way it is. We constantly measure not from great, but from doing nothing. So if we see someone not doing anything and we're moving, we tell ourselves, my God, but I'm always busy, you know? Yeah, but you're comparing yourself to doing nothing. You know? The comparison is always to nothing. That's always the problem, guys. If I could pinpoint that, you know, if I could just grab this concept and encapsulate this concept, put it in a jar. The comparison point is always from nothing. It's always, oh, I run so fast. Well, yeah, because you're running with people that don't run. That's why you run so fast. Oh, I'm working so hard. Yeah, because you're comparing. In your mind, the fragmented ideas, this is almost always true, guys. You're comparing yourself from non-activity or from very low activity. So in your mind, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing so much. Yeah, you're comparing yourself from very little activity. What you need to do is compare yourself to high activity so that you can really see. Here's one thing. If you think you're doing so much, if you're like, oh my God, I'm always exercising and the diet doesn't work, you should go and spend every day with someone who has a rock solid, you know, I don't know, beach body. You know, pay them to shadow them. I don't know. And then so you can see really what a lot is. You're going to find out these people wake up and then they run for like fucking 5-10 miles every morning. And then you realize that your a lot is really bullshit. You know? That your a lot, your I'm doing this so much is really you're comparing yourself to doing very little or nothing. This is the same thing in your art career. This has happened to me before in my own art career. And it's such a painful process to get out of because things are not working, and then I go like, oh my God, what's going on? If I'm working so hard, what's going on? But it's always activity. It's always activity. And the thing is that I feel like I'm working so hard, but then I look and I'm like, I don't have a point of comparison. My mind is stupid. It's fragmented. When I look back and I'm like, I'm doing the same thing I was. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not doing the same thing you were when you were winning. You are not doing the same thing. You are doing if you are getting paid less or things aren't working, you are not doing the same thing. I promise you, you're not. You're doing a little fragment of what you were doing, and your mind tells you you're doing everything. You're doing all the right stuff. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's only when when you light yourself on fire that you get paid, guys. In anything. That's why Muhammad Ali said, the champ, the boxer, said that he didn't start counting his sit-ups until his stomach started burning, right? He's like, I don't count until my stomach starts burning. And that's really when, guys, do this for yourself. Don't count anything in your activity until it starts hurting. Don't count anything. Like if you went and you knock on a door of a gallery to try to get a show, don't count it. Count it till you're exhausted from walking from gallery to gallery. Till you're like, oh my God, like I'm tired. I need to go eat something because all morning I spent going from gallery to, count that. Count that. Tell yourself, oh, I visited a gallery today. Count that. Because chances are you went and you visited 10 galleries and I don't know, 6 were not even open or the owner wasn't there. 2 didn't want to talk to you and 1 said, all right, send me your stuff. Let me see. We'll see. Because the reality is that you need hundreds. You want to get gallery shows? Okay, I'm just going to drop it right here. Hundreds, guys. Hundreds. And I'm not talking about emails. Go knock on a door. Go talk to someone. Pick up the phone. It's got to be hundreds. You want solid rock abs? It's hundreds, right? It's got to be hundreds. It's got to be hundreds of sit-ups every single day. It's got to be hundreds. Everything requires a shit load of work. But we don't think about it like that. We don't think about it like that. We think about, oh my God, I'm doing so much because we discontinue. We continually go back to doing nothing. You're comparing yourself to non-activity. So when you compare yourself to non-activity, anything you do is going to feel like so much work. You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm doing so much. Of course you're doing so much. You keep comparing to no work, to very little, to nothing. And of course it's going to feel like a lot, you know. Or you might be also fragmented in the sense that, oh, I'm doing so much, but you're doing so much of one activity. And maybe you're not even doing so much of that. You're only focusing on that one activity. When you were winning, you were doing all activities. You were doing all activity. You were doing everything. And, you know, you were picking up the phone. You were contacting people. You were getting back to people on Instagram and Facebook, whatever. You were creating a fire, right? You're creating a fire. And this is the reality, guys. This is the reality. It's just that we get sidetracked. We get sidetracked into thinking that something else is going to make it happen in your career or your life, whatever it is. This is the reality. High's Art says, that's an excellent point. Didn't even think about it from that perspective. Arts by Stephen says, dude, you're always dropping great advice. Thank you. My pleasure, my man. Thank you. Let's see here. So, I'll start waving at some people here. So that's really the way it is, guys. It's easy. It's easy to get lost. Every time you feel lost, or every time you feel like things aren't working or whatever, or you have more potential and you're not really using it, it's because it's true. It's because it always comes down to your activity. Always. There's nothing. When people are doing so great in some business or something, whatever they're doing, it's because they're doing a lot of activity, guys. Don't kid yourself. Don't miss this, guys. When someone is winning at anything, it's because there's a lot of activity happening. There's so much activity that they had to multiply themselves and pay other people, right? To help them create activity. It always, or softwares or whatever, but there's so much activity happening. When When something is working, guys, it's because there is a shitload of activity. This is the only reason. When something is not working, there's a shitload of thinking. Okay? When something's not working. When something's not working, there's a shitload of thinking. There is some activity. There's a lot of activity. But a lot compared to what? Okay? So, I'll leave you with that. My name is Jose Trujillo. I know this is a kick in the pants, but this is a kick in the pants also for me. Okay? I do these videos also to remind myself. And if I'm already going to remind myself, might as well remind others. Might as well record it and remind others. Look, go for it. Kick some ass. Put more activity in there. Push, 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 push. It is the only way. It is the only way. I've found that any type of success really only works because there's tension. There's actions and tension in there. It's like a bow, like a bow and arrow. You're welcome, Kimberly. It's like a bow and arrow. The only way it's going to work is if you make that string tight. Otherwise, it can't catapult. It can't catapult it can't shoot the arrow. If it's not tight, if it's all, whimsy, and it's not going to shoot the arrow. It can't shoot the arrow. Think about anything, a bullet. Those of you, I don't know, in places like Arizona. It's a powder, right? It needs powder, and it needs to burn. A rocket to the moon. It's a shitload of fire. It needs to burn, baby. It needs to burn. Otherwise, it's not going to work. This is what we keep missing in our lives. It needs to burn. There needs to be shitload of fire, a lot of activity, a lot of fire, just a lot of fire. Tons and tons and tons of fuel. And so we go through our lives thinking, oh man, this is not working. No, dude, it's not that it's not working. It's not your Facebook ads. It's not your Instagram ads. It's not your blah, 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 blah. It's none of it. It's the activity, guys. It always comes down to the activities. It's just that we get sold all this bullshit. We get sold that, oh, if you do this like that, and then it's going to work. No, it's not. If you just do it at big amounts, if you do it in big amounts, that's where it works. And then you learn stuff in the way. You tweak, right? But you won't even have a chance to tweak if you're not. This is what one of my mentors said. Look, in order to make a sale, he said, it will take hundreds of people. He said it will take hundreds, right? It will take visiting hundreds of people in order to make a sale. And he followed up by saying, look, we tend to think that if we just visit one or two people, if you're really good at selling, if you're an excellent speaker, or you're great at marketing, or you're great at whatever, we tend to think that if we're great, then it's going to take just a couple of phone calls, or a couple of visits, or a couple of posts on your Facebook. If you're really great at painting, it's only going to take a couple of posts and boom, baby, you're going to start making gold. That's not true. It's the same principle. Being good at something only means, the only thing that it means is that it glides. It glides easier. But you still have to make those hundreds of visits. You will not get away from the hundreds of visits. You will not get away from the thousands of emails. You want to sell something, you need to have an email list, right? This is what everybody says. You need to have an email list. You will not escape needing to have thousands of emails. Not hundreds, thousands of emails. You will not escape that. You want to have a gallery show? You will not escape talking to dozens of galleries. Maybe you talk to one and you land one. But what is that going to do? What is one gallery show going to do? A year? You sell $2,000? I don't know. Let's say that you sell a painting and you sold $2,000. You kept $1,000. They buy that by a year. Well, what is that going to do? You need at least 2, 3 every other month, or one every month. You need fuel, guys. I don't know how to explain this in any other way. I know I've drove my point, but don't forget this, guys. It's very easy to forget. It's really the only reason why things aren't working. There's nothing outside of that. There's nothing outside of that. When you see someone winning or something, or they're winning at whatever, you're really looking at a person who's putting a lot of fuel. That's all. A lot of activities. That's the only reason. It's not because they paint so great. It's not because they have connections. It's not because their Instagram is so big. If someone's Instagram is like, it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of followers on Instagram, it's because they put a lot of fuel. And if you feel like you're using your Instagram a lot and it still doesn't work, it's because you're not putting enough fuel. That's the bottom line. That's the only thing. I've experienced this with Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing so much. And I'm like, really? Are you? Are you really doing so much on Instagram? And I had to be honest with myself and realize that, no, I'm not. I'm not really doing that much with Instagram. That's why my numbers don't grow. That's why Instagram is where it's at. That's why other people have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and I don't, because they've put in the work. Whether they I don't know, paid someone to put in the work or they put in the work, but there is something happening. There is work happening. There's some sort of fuel happening there. That's the only reason why it's working. So I'll leave you guys with that. My name's Jose Trujillo. Look, guys, if you like what I'm talking about, if you guys like this talks, I know they're not very popular, but they're very much kicking the pants and to get that mindset right. I do this in the morning. You're gonna love the videos I have on YouTube. Go check it out as well. It's just my name, Jose Trujillo, and then add the word artist, and you'll find I don't know, over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and you can check that out. And I don't know. Go check that out. All right. Peace, guys. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.